It's all you, man.
All right, cool. What's up, everybody? My name is Jonathan Alvarez, aka Grounded Phoenix. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Um, I'm an alcoholic and I use drugs alcoholically. It all started at the age of 12, guys. Um, Got to start from the beginning. I did my first line of crystal meth at the age of 12. Around this time, my parents were going through it. My stepdad was, you know, leaving the picture, as you would say, and it was tough for me. It was tough for me. Now being sober, I realized that part of like where my alcohol use and drug use really stemmed from was from culture. One, because I'm Mexican, and another reason is for acceptance. But what really fueled my alcohol use and drug use was my trauma. And I'm going to talk about that later on. But first, yeah, I was 12 when I first did my first line of crystal meth. And the day I got home from this incident, I come to find out that my dad, my stepdad, was actually not my real dad. I was heartbroken. I was really heartbroken. My whole life up until then, I thought he was my father. And that's when my victimized mindset really came out. That's when I felt really like I couldn't trust anybody. And that's when I felt like, holy shit, I was lied to for this whole period of time. How is life going to be on moving forward? And something inside of me just really felt like, fuck this, fuck everything. Because I was that kid. I was that little boy that was arguing with the other little kids in the playground, like, like, nah, dude, like, my dad's stronger than your dad. My dad is smarter. My dad can lift the car with one arm. Like, that was me. And when I came to find out that he wasn't my real dad, like, it crushed me, right? It really crushed me. So that's where I want to start off. Um, in the Mexican culture, we drink at an early age, and it's accepted. It's something that you just do to fit in, to socialize, to meet women. And I remember at the age of 12 also was my first blackout. It was the first time I remember I was dancing with my aunt. I just remember dropping her on the floor once, and I was drinking from everybody else's beer, and I was just like so quick to just chug it. And it's history from there, man. I blacked out. I woke up with a hangover every time I went to a quinceañera. From then on, I was that kid that was getting dragged out or taken to their mom's house, like throwing up and completely blacked out. So it started really early on. But I'm gonna just move forward now onto my late teens and early 20s, because at this point I was in the rave scene, and in the rave scene, it was super fun. That's when I got into freaking ecstasy. I started rolling. It was fun, meeting people, and particularly women. That was the time to like hook up with people. But even though I was having so much fun, um, fun wasn't filling my cup. It wasn't fulfilling me on the inside. It was just distracting me from the shit that I really needed to deal with. But at this point, I wasn't really trying to do that. I was just trying to have fun. And in a way, that's how I thought I was going to heal myself, by popping pills, by drinking, by just partying, and just living a really unhealthy lifestyle, not just physically, but emotionally, relationships that I would be in, and shit like that. After the rave scene, you kind of grow out of the rave scene after a while. Once about the time, once I started, when I became 21, so I started going to bars, so it was really about alcohol at that point. The type of drinker that I was a binge blackout drinker. um, I was weak. Uh, I thought I can hang. I was always the one trying to, compare myself to other people, and my body, my frame, my brain could just not handle it. I was always blacking out. I was always the one starting shit with other people because I just couldn't control that amount of alcohol in my body. So what I started to do was I got into a real deep relationship with cocaine, and cocaine was my alcohol bone was connected to my cocaine bone. Like that shit was just, it was like a match made in heaven for me, because not only can I drink more, I was feeling like up and low at the same time. I was able to find the balance and to really keep going all night. But after a period of time, I started acting hella weird. I don't know if it was the coke or just me, but I was doing some shit that was sketchy as fuck. I was doing weirdo type of shit. Like it's pretty embarrassing to talk about, but I was just acting a complete fool. Um, from self-inflicting wounds to talking shit to people, including loved ones, messing up relationship with close family members, including my kid's mother, who was actually very supportive of me now. And even though we're not together, she's probably one of the best friends that I have, and we have a really good relationship. But I put her through hell. I put her through hell, and even though I put her through all of this chaos, um, she's been there for me. She's been there for me, and she's been very supportive. So once I started drinking and doing coke, somewhere along the line, I kind of wanted to get my shit together, and I saw that my sister was about to be a pharmacy technician or go to pharmacy tech school. So I hopped on that train. I was like, fuck it, let's do it together. And of course, I started copying her. I started cheating, and that's how I got my pharmacy tech license. I got my pharmacy tech license, and it was like a match made in heaven as well, because I go in there and I fucking start using my manipulative techniques to steal, to know my surroundings, to see what I can get away with. And I was pocketing pills from Narcos to Vicodins to Xanax. I wasn't necessarily taking them, but I was using it to capitalize and make extra money. And so, really quick, that shit just fucking went downhill. I got arrested. I got blacked out one night. I popped like a Xanax or something, and of course I couldn't handle it. So I got into an altercation with a police officer. They booked me. They found fucking Xanax in my socks. So I got hit with a felony charge. And believe it or not, this was the night that I met my kid's mother. It's crazy because I met her this night. And so I go to jail, right? I get out and I was put in this program so they could expunge my record, because this was my first offense, surprisingly. Um, and what happened here is that I started completing this program, but I noticed that when I would go to these meetings because that's what I said, I'm an addict, so they could get that shit expunged, but I didn't think I was. I was like, fuck that. Like, this is not me. I don't live in a tent. I don't fucking use necessarily every day. I just like to party. But what I came to realize is that it didn't matter how many times I used. What mattered was how I felt on the inside and the type of harm I was causing myself and others. And but I didn't realize this at this point. So I came to the conclusion one night. I was in the restroom, of course, about to do a line of cocaine. Me and my kid's mom were going at it and shit like that. I look in the mirror and I'm fucking bleeding, right? I'm fucking bleeding. And I'm just like, fuck. What I saw was somebody in pain, lost, somebody that was, you know, frightened, I guess, to see life for what it really is. And at that moment that I looked at myself, I said, yo, like, you never met your biological father. So do you think that your dad is a spitting image of how you are now? And if he is, would you accept him as your dad? And how would you feel if your kids saw you like this? And at that moment, the absence of my biological father triggered my presence. It triggered my purpose. What it triggered like a sense of meaning in my life. And it's as crazy enough as it sounds. Like I had like an epiphany. I was just like, holy shit, like what the fuck am I doing with my life? And that's when I realized, and that's when I accepted, and that's when I started to surrender. Like, dude, like you don't have any control of this. You know, it's time to let this shit go. It really is. And that's when I came to the acceptance part of my addiction. Um, I I never did the 12 steps. I never went to AA meetings unless it was court ordered. So I'm gonna share with you guys how I recovered and how I'm in recovery and the things that I use, the tools that have helped me, because I feel it's important to know that there's other ways, there's other methods, and be more open-minded about this whole recovery way of life. Because I know for me early on, what I started noticing in meetings, what I started noticing in people's life is that I was very judgy. I was very I was comparing myself to people in ways that, you know, I didn't relate to them. And I'm not this person because of that. I'm not this person because of that. But I didn't stop to think at what we had in common. What were our similarities? And a lot of it was the pain that we went through on the inside and the pain we would inflict in others. So if you're watching this, I really want to encourage you to be open minded to if you feel like AA or whatever other form of recovery is out there, you know, be open to other formats and methods of spirituality or self growth and self development, because at the end, that's what it really is. It's opening up and really growing as a person and coming to this conclusion of acceptance. So I I want to go back to the moment I had in the mirror. um, I accepted, I surrendered any power over alcohol and coke at the time, because I realized that I don't have the power. I don't have the power, and I need to just let it be. You know, something that I really like to say now is that I don't have to fight something in order to defeat it. I don't. And that's what I was doing. I was fighting it until I finally said, fuck it. I'm powerless over this shit. And that's what it is. I'm powerless over it. So um after that, my motive was to get sober because I wanted to stop the drama with my kid's mom. So for 2 years, out of sheer, I guess, will, I was able to do it because of that. So I was 2 years sober. Um, and the interesting thing is that even though I was sober and we would not argue, the relationship with my kid's mother fucking got even more dry. It was like, it was like, yeah, well, I was using would fight and shit, but there was more affection. There was more like we had more things in common. We would party and stuff together. But as soon as I got sober, we weren't fighting or anything. We just wouldn't even see eye to eye anymore. We were just, it was like I said, it was dry, right? So I had to make the toughest decision in my life, and that was to separate myself from her, because I realized that I was not willing to be in a relationship anymore with somebody that, you know, just for beginners, we started off, you know, we had our first boy right after 3 months that we met. And we merely stayed together about 7 years just because for the kids. And I wasn't with that anymore. I realized that I can be the best person I can be and the best father I can be without her, and so can she. And it would probably not serve them to be together and continue this whole cycle that my mom and my stepdad did. So that was the toughest decision I ever had to make, because just the image of another guy coming into the picture, um, I didn't want that. And now she has two boys with another guy, and you know, thankfully this guy's a good gentleman. And it was hard. It was hard to accept. And so now after all this happened, um, I moved to my mom's house. I moved to my mom's house, fucking started sleeping on the floor. And this is when where the real work started coming in. This is where, you know, after that initial first step, I couldn't just do it out of willpower. I'm back at my mom's house. I'm back with all these people that I used to fucking drink and do coke with. Now it's like, okay, what do I got to do? I got to cut off my triggers. It was a person, the people, the places, the things, all of that I had to get rid of. Now, it was a bunch of homies that I used to kick it with. It was a bunch of places that I used to hang out at. So I guess I was just enclosed to my own house. And in order to fill those voids, those people, places, and things, I started, self care. I started caring more about myself physically, emotionally, and spiritually, so it could eat up more of my time, so I could have things to do. So on a physical level, I started working out. Working out has been huge for me because it's something that makes me feel not normal, for lack of better terms. And what we were trying to do, what I was trying to do is what I would use is not feel normal. So I get like this euphoric effect feeling when I'm working out. I feel pumped. I feel a sense of stress relief, of anxiety relief. So that really helped me. And that served me very well for as far as physically. So now to the emotional part, man, I was completely fucked emotionally. And when I worked on myself emotionally, I had to really come to terms with a bunch of demons that I've had. I journaled, so I started writing letters. I wrote a letter to the father I never met. I forgave my mom. I started writing a bunch of stuff and how I felt on paper. And one day something surfaced. And keep in mind, I'm sober now about 3 years. Something surfaced while I was writing, and that was that I was molested at a young child. I was fucking molested, man. And the feeling that I got was fucking like if I was unworthy in my own skin. Um, that's the best way I could describe it. And it's crazy how you're doing so good and all of these things just start to pop up because we are no longer numbing the pain or blocking these thoughts that we have in our deep subconscious mind that just fucking pop up out of nowhere. You think it's cool all of a sudden. Nope, it's not. But it's actually a good thing because we get to work on them, we get to confront them. And a flashback came to me. I was at a party, I was about 19 years old, and the person that assaulted me was there. They were probably, we have probably like 8 years difference. We knew mutual friends. This person was there, shit, like fucking drunk as fuck off his ass, came up to me and apologized. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For what? For what? For what? I was in denial at the moment. Moving forward, when this came to light, it came to surface and I was writing it all down, I said, fuck, I need to accept his apology. So what did I do? I went knocking to this person's door. They still live there. They saw me, they turned pale as fuck. And I told them, dude, like, I accept your apology. Years later. And I can see it in his eyes, a sign of relief. I could see it in his eyes like a sign of like, fuck, like, thank you. No words needed to be said. I went my own way. And at that moment I knew that I had completely accepted what had happened. And it was a big milestone for my sobriety because I realized that I have come to terms with something that was fueling the way I was using drugs and alcohol. It was fueling that shit because I was, you know, fucking hurting myself and hurting others. I would like to show you guys this fucking wicked ass scar that I have. Like, this is something that you just don't do to yourself if you're not in internal pain. Um, I want to talk about spiritual self-care now. Spiritually, I was bankrupt. I didn't know what spirituality meant. I'm Catholic, you know, but that doesn't mean shit, you know. So I started meditating. I started getting into crystal chakras and energy and vibrations. And what I came to find out is that the more that I was able to silence the noise in my mind and control my breathing and just focus slowly on it, because my mind was here, it was there, it was all over the place. The moment that I was able to just find a sense of serenity within me, and it was crazy because the first time I felt like true meditation was me separating myself from my actual body. It's a fucking legit feeling. You're breathing in and out, and you feel like your fucking soul or something is elevating from off of your fucking body. And that is something that I felt was like, dude, like spirituality is real. It's fucking real. And it's not something that you see, it's not something that you talk about. It's a fucking feeling. And until you find that feeling, you will understand. Um, Later on down the line, I started praying to God. Um, I still meditate, but I think I pray more than I meditate, and that works for me. It doesn't have to be for everybody. It doesn't have to be for everybody, but that's what has helped me. Um, Moving forward is I learned about the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind to me is huge because I did it through reading books. That's also one way that has really helped me is was reading books. And I learned about the power of the subconscious mind. So we have the conscious and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind runs 10% to 5% of our mind, and the subconscious is 90 to 95%. And the subconscious mind accepts all and any information, whether that's good or bad. Imagine ever since you were a child, you started accepting all of this information and you didn't know about it, whether it was good or bad. You just accepted it until I started being conscious and realizing what to feed myself, not only through food, through like what I heard, through what I saw, but through the people that I hung around with. I started to realize how important it is to consume the right type of information, whether whatever matter that was. So the subconscious mind for me is like something big, and that kind of hits home to like my recovery process, which was acceptance, um, getting rid of triggers, physical, emotional, and spiritual self care, and the subconscious mind, which is, the brain. And that's something, that's how I'm recovered now. I do go to AA meetings just because I do like to surround myself with people that have, been through shit. And I do it also because I feel like everybody has a story to tell. And I want to be there for that person that felt like me, that at that moment is like, this shit ain't for me. I wasn't here. I wasn't there. But I want to point them to the direction as to what do we have in common. And that's what my goal is. And essentially, that's what I want to do with my own YouTube channel, which is The Grounded Phoenix. And you could go on groundedphoenix.com to take you directly to that link. And I'm also partnered with Team 12, which they host non-denominational meetings. And it's super cool because nowadays it's like you have new drugs coming out. You have, the youth, they don't see recovery as like as a cool thing. And I'm really trying to change that. I'm really trying to um I guess establish and get rid of that stigma along with what you guys are doing here. And I really appreciate you for having me. It's true, it truly is an honor. And anybody that's doing anything like this, I'm super happy to support, man. I love this shit, man. Thank you for having me.